Good afternoon, Monarch fans, and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk with Rags here in Season 3, Episode 30. Today, here in our second Monarch Monday episode here on Sports Talk with Rags, we have ODU basketball alum Brion Dunlap here with us. Brion, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Mark. I appreciate you having me on today.
Oh, sure, no problem. Thanks for your time. And like we talked about before we went on, definitely some momentum here with my podcast and the Monarchs here, and your former teammates here with Mike Jones, Odell, Mario, Mike Byers on last week, and then you on today.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about before, it's a pleasure for all of us to have been on, and you to have us on this platform to be able to talk about, our history, ODU, we bleed the blue, and I'm just appreciative for you asking me to come on the show.
Sure, no problem. Well, hey, before we talk about your days with being a student athlete here on Hampton Boulevard, here let's start here as you were growing up and getting into high school. Did you play all sports, or just as you were getting older there through high school, just fell in love with with the the game of basketball?
Well, when I was younger, I played pretty much every sport: football, baseball, soccer, ran track, and basketball. And then in middle school, I did football and basketball and ran track. And then when I got to high school, I just did football and basketball. And truth be told, my first love and always my first love is football. That's what I wanted to play in college. That's what I enjoyed. I loved it. It helped me on the basketball court, being a quarterback and also being a safety or defense end of the field, to allow me to see the field and know everybody's positions and where they're supposed to be. So it helped me being a point guard as well. They correlated between the two sports.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I know that we're around the same age, but you talk about football and basketball. Here my friend Mike Sharp, who gave me the idea of starting this podcast, and we'll get into your high school, scrimmage in Western Branch. But when Mike Sharp was at Western Branch, they went to the regionals, played Bethel, and a guy by the name of Allen Iverson definitely did football and basketball.
Yeah, we played against him in the state semifinals my junior year. Our junior year, we lost to them in overtime. Unfortunately, I came down with cramps with 4 seconds left, and in a tie ball game, and I wasn't able to shoot the free throws, and then we ended up coming up short and losing in overtime.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, and then also to get back there with the connection with Mike Sharp, he was telling me last night how your high school at Western Branch would definitely scrimmage, there to against each other.
Yeah, Coach Robinson, he tried to get us out and scrimmage different people and different coaches that he had met throughout the profession. He thought it was good for us to go down and play the teams in the beach area for scrimmages as well, simply because they were in our region and at the time, and we was most likely going to see them or could see them potentially in the state tournament or in the regional playoff. So it was just something for him that he wanted us to do and get us away from our own comfort zone. And, it was good competition. We were playing against those guys and we were scrimmaging them.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And let's see. You went to Woodbridge High School.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that while I've worked for the government, I've spent some time with supporting Western Branch high school football, high school baseball, and we've definitely have had some good competition against the Northern Virginia schools, and Western Branch made it to the state semis this year, but we ended up having to go to Freedom there
Yeah,
at Woodbridge, and definitely some good competition there when we have to go on 95 North.
definitely. It's been some good battles throughout the years between Northern Virginia schools as well as schools down at the beach area.
Right. Yes. Well, hey, one thing that I looked at here, and definitely, as you came came to Old Dominion, I mean, what was it like here with the recruiting process? Because definitely there with going to college in the mid '90s, nothing like what it is today.
Definitely. Um, funny story about my ODU recruiting visit was we actually had a game, football game, Friday night, and we were playing against Hilton High School. At the time, they were up and coming, and they were getting better and better. And I actually got it was a late hit, but I got knocked out right before halftime. So I was being recruited at the time by Coach Purnell and his staff. So the coaching staff, they were at the football game with my mother, and I was down on the ground, I guess, for a while. So then my mom came onto the field, and I looked up, and I was like, "What are you doing on the field? Get off the field." So then she was like, "Oh, he's okay, he's fine." So then I came back and played. I played in the second half of the game, which today they wouldn't let you do at all. But I played in the second half of the game, and next morning I was on a flight going down to ODU for my visit.
Oh.
So I was there on the Saturday. I remember going into the players, one of the players' apartments, and it was Mike Jones whose apartment it was. It was Kevin Swan in there, and then Odell came by, and then we just all just hung out. They just talked about it. It was a very intimate and family oriented visit. To be honest with you, I didn't do anything crazy. I just felt like that was the right place for me when I was there because of the people who were there and how they made me feel.
Yes, and another thing that I pointed out and definitely put a star by with prepping for this interview is you come to Old Dominion, well, Coach Purnell leaves, and you got Coach Capel coming in. So here you're an incoming freshman, and then here new head coach.
hmm hmm Yeah, it was a process. Coach Capel and I, we butted heads at times, but he taught us a lot and how to be young men. He just wanted the best for you, and he didn't hold any punches. Coach Capel told you how it was, and I respect that. And to my coaching to this day, I use a lot of that too. I just, as the kids say, keep it 100 and make sure I tell them the truth all the time. And that's what Coach Capel did for us. And it was a learning process, like I said, just because he didn't recruit me. So at that summer leading up to going into my freshman year, we talked quite a bit and got to know each other and, got a good feel for one another. And from the way he coached us in practice and how he was, I knew how he wanted his point guards to be. And I just tried to be a representative of him on the court. And like I said, he taught us how to be men, and he taught us how to be tough, and we respected him for that, and we love him for that.
Yes, and as the Monarchs here were 12-2 in the CAA, and not only won the regular season, but got on the bus, went to 64 West, and cut the Nets down there in Richmond Coliseum.
That we did. That was that was a great experience. And then after that, going to the NCAA tournament. I mean, that year, it was a tough year early because we had lost Odell. Preseason NIT. We played UVA first game of the year, tough game. We lost in overtime, I believe, like 83-80. And then we went on the road a couple of games later to Southern Illinois. And that's when Odell unfortunately tore his ACL. And, to kudos to the coaching staff, not really understanding it then, but maybe I did a little bit as a player. But, being a coach now, I understand it more, how they kind of changed our scheme a little bit from a playing standpoint, just for the simple fact we lost Big O. Yeah. And now it became more so we were more perimeter oriented, where it was about Petey and Mike and then Mario, and then everybody else kind of like fit in what they did. And then we just came together as a group, and we had so many good players on that team that everybody was a huge piece. I mean, from, like I said, from Petey to Mike to EJ Sherrod to Duffy. Odell was the biggest cheerleader throughout the entire time, so that meant a lot as well. So it was good that we were able to, come together after we had lost Big O and still be able to cut down the nets in Richmond that season.
Yes, and the funny thing is about PD Sessoms. I mean, he's the same age as my brother. So while my brother Mike Ragsdale was at Western Branch, PD was playing basketball in the same district. Craddock High School there at Portsmouth.
Mhm.
So definitely followed PD's career, not only high school, but then right across the water as he started there for Old Dominion.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Petey was special. He was special, and then I still thought that he should have made it to the league. Should have been drafted. I mean, he was a special player, and he really showed it in the NCAA tournament. We played against Villanova. He showed his array of skills, not only being able to shoot the basketball, but using his length and his athleticism and being able to defend. And Petey had a quiet toughness about him that a lot of people probably didn't see. Because if you didn't know him, he didn't really talk a lot, but he had a quiet toughness about him that led us as well.
Yes, and the interesting thing about that first round matchup. I mean, we talk about when we were graduating high school and how recruiting different back when we were growing up to what it is today. Well, the NCAA's, I lived in the West Coast, during that spring of '95 with being in a military family. And so we didn't see any of that first round matchup until the first overtime. And the funny thing is my brother-in-law was a freshman at Villanova watching the game, and they were anticipating number 3 seed Kerry Kittles and Villanova going on to the Final Four. But hey, you got to play the Monarchs.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We it's funny though. We had a lot of confidence, of course. Whenever you're a conference champion and you win 3 straight games in the conference tournament the way that we did and beat the opponents that we did in our conference tournament, going into the NCAA tournament, we had a lot of confidence. And mainly because I think we were an older team. We were a senior led team, with Petey and Mike and Dave and those guys. But then we had guys like Mario and EJ Sherrod. And like I said, Odell's energy and everything off the bench as well. And our coaching staff, like they were very confident in us as well and what we could do. And going into that game, we felt we matched up pretty well. I know they had Kerry Kittles playing at the 3, but we had Petey at the 3, and then we had Mike Jones at the 2. And we knew on the interior they had the height and the size and athleticism, but we were just going to have to be physical and gang rebound, and that's what Dave was. Dave was physical, and Mario rebounded the ball well, even though he was kind of undersized. He had long arms, and then Petey and Mike, they rebounded the ball as well from the guard position. So as long as we could just not get destroyed on the glass, we felt that we had a chance to beat them.
Right. Yes. And then the next, got by Villanova, lost in the second round, and then the sophomore season, had the team had a good year, but then your junior year, you guys tied for the regular season, and nothing like being an ODU fan sitting in the Richmond Coliseum and ODU cutting the nets down with VCU being right down the street.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, with that rival, that was always fun being able to win, especially there in Richmond Coliseum. That year, I remember going into the tournament. I had given Mike Byers my ring for my freshman year, and I was like, "Hold on to this, and you can sleep with it because I'm gonna get you one come Saturday night." And we were fortunate enough to do it. I mean, it was a heck of a game against JMU. EJ Sherrod made 3 big free throws late in the game to send us into overtime, and we were just able to make more plays than they did at the end of the day. But that was a special moment as well.
Yes, and back your freshman year, you made CAA All Rookie Team. Then in '97, Big O, you and Mike Byers, got on the All Tournament team.
We did and it was the funniest thing about that was not only was that the Mike and the sophomore class, their first championship, but it was Big O's first championship as a player.
Right.
They had the heartbreak my senior year when Kuluko made the three in the corner. And then he wasn't able to play my freshman year because he had tore his ACL. So then we came up short my sophomore year, and then his senior year we were able to win it. I just remember Big O running around. He had no idea how to celebrate. He was just running around. He was like holding up the four horseman fingers, like, because he's a big wrestling guy, and just kept running around, didn't know what to do. But it was a joy to watch him, get that as well as my other teammates. Just because of stuff that we had gone through the year before, and just the perseverance that he had gone through himself with tearing his ACL, and he had ballooned up in weight, and he had to lose the weight, and then people didn't think he had it anymore. It was just a bunch of things. But good teams overcome, especially when they're locked in together and they're tight knit like we were, and we were able to do that.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, even when Big O came on here on an earlier episode, is he even talked about how Petey Sessoms' jersey should be up in the rafters there at Joe Arena.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I mean, Petey did a lot of things at ODU, a lot of special things, and some things were under the radar. And you wouldn't think that from what he did from a splash standpoint, and because of the big game that he had against Villanova. But Petey did a lot of things over the course of the time he was there in that blue uniform.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And then they're in '98. Your senior year. You guys finished fourth. But what was after Old Dominion?
Well, I was going back and forth whether or not I was going to try to make a run to go overseas and play. And then my high school coach, he called me and said he needed an assistant. Right. And I had I didn't want to coach at all. I was not, that was not in the cards for me. Right. So, but what I had been doing though prior to that, when I had gone home for the summers, I would help coach the summer league and the spring league at times in my high school. So I enjoyed being around the young guys that was up and coming in my high school, and being like an older big brother to them, and being able to give some of the things that I've gone through and some of the things that I learned not only in high school but from college as well, and just giving it back to them. So I did appreciate that, but I didn't want to coach. I didn't want to have to deal with the parents. I didn't want to deal with people's emotions, all that stuff. And when Coach Robinson asked me that, I said, all right, Coach, I'll come back and do it for a little bit.
Right.
And I remember like the first week or two in practice, I just sat at the scores table. I didn't say nothing. And so he brought me in. He goes, I didn't bring you here just to sit at the scores table. But my thing was, old school, like Coach, you're my coach. Like, what am I going to give that you can't already give to the guys or haven't already given to them? Like, I didn't think I can give anything else. But it's different when you're around their age and you play and you connect with them a little bit differently. And so I remember one day, Coach Robinson and the coaching staff decided to go on a scouting of another team that we were supposed to play. But in actuality, he was leaving me at practice to run practice. So when he did that, it kind of grabbed me a little bit, the coaching piece, and it was kind of like, okay, I think I can do this. And then after that, it just took off from there.
Right. So then with going into college, what just an opportunity there at Harris Stowe State before your current position?
Well, when I was coaching in high school, Milan Brown, who's an assistant for me at Old Dominion, was at William and Mary. He was at William and Mary, and he came to an event that we were hosting at my high school that I was coaching at, and then he had told me that if he ever got a head coaching job, he asked me if I would like to come along. And I was like, for sure. I respect Milan to the utmost. He's a mentor for me. He's like a big brother to me. So I was like, yeah, I'm there. And so when Milan got the job at Mount St. Mary's, I knew I was leaving high school to go there. So that was my way of getting into the college scene. And we were together for 12 years, and we had some success at the place we were at. And then I went from Holy Cross, to Winston-Salem, and then after Winston-Salem, I went to Harris Stowe. And when I was at Harris Stowe, that was my chance to be a head coach for the first time on a collegiate level, and that really was an eye opener. It was different. You move over those 6 inches, you don't think it's a lot, but it's a lot. And as being a head coach, every day is a new day. No day is the same. It's
Right.
almost like it's like being a parent. No day is the same. No matter what it is. But I learned a lot, and it taught me and it prepared me for where I'm at now at Claflin University.
Yes, and Claflin, they're CIAA and 19-7 this year.
Yeah, we came up a little short. But I told the guys at the end of the year I really appreciated them and respected them for allowing me to come in and coach them up and coach them the way that I felt was the right way and felt fit. But they also responded, and it made it easy. It made it easy. I don't look at it per se as a turnaround. More so, I just look at it as if this is the year that we had. And then unfortunately, we didn't close it out the way we had liked it to, and became champions. But for our guys, it was a positive year, something that we can build off on, going into the summer, this off season, and then going into the fall and the next season as well.
Yeah, and what is, now that you're a head coach, what is spring into the summer? I guess on the road or recruiting here for next year, right? There's never a day
Yeah.
off for a head coach.
No, never day off. Our guys are in finals. Some this week with their papers and stuff, and then next week be in finals or graduation coming up here soon. Been on the road recruiting since the end of March. Once we lost, all throughout this month of April. It'll slow down a little bit here in May, but then it'll pick back up again in June and July, and then by that time be school again, rolling back around in August. So just continually to and then have some things for the guys to do, whether they're on campus or at home, in regards to their workout schedules, whether it be lifting weights or their shots, how they're going to get in the gym, things to try to make them better, to improve their game. And so a lot of professional development on my own part, some self-evaluation, watching film, what we could have done differently, what I could have done differently, trying to learn more from different coaches or things of that nature, just to gain more knowledge, and hopefully I can apply it to my guys so they can help us moving forward this year. And then, just making sure they do what they need to do to stay healthy, throughout the summer, and hopefully try to set them up with internships and potential jobs that they can have for when they graduate, and to be ready for them. So just continue to just build them as individuals and build the program as a whole.
Yes, and I have had Jason Capel on. Haven't had time to connect with Jeff, his brother, but definitely something interesting. While their dad coached you guys, I mean, Jason's senior year, he was able to play the McDonald's All American game right there at Norfolk Scope.
Yeah, yeah. Jason and Jeff, they were around quite a bit, especially when Jeff was in at Duke. He would bring up some of his teammates as well, and we would play during the summer. And Jason would come through and play. So it was a lot of competition, especially during the summer times, just because of the amount of people that used to walk through our gym. I mean, it was some big time battles, but with Jason and Jeff being around, because of their dad, it was good to get to know them, um, and actually just to see their growth as well. What they've done here through the coaching ranks. And with Milan being their assistant this past year, Jeff's assistant, I thought they did a really good job at Pitt this past year, and they surprised a lot of people, but they found a way to change. It was similar. It was crazy because their best player going into the season was their big guy, John Hughley, and then he ended up getting injured. So they changed the way they play because they didn't have Big John anymore, and it turned out to be successful for them. So that was big to them to be able to do that.
Right. Well, Brion, when my brother Mike Ragsdale graduated from high school in '91, went to go play baseball, at William and Mary, so I've had some Monarch baseball alums come on that played against my brother. But, with having you and Mike and Mario and Mike Byers and Odell on. I mean, definitely not only family with Monarch basketball, but also definitely it's a small world. There with the Capels, Coach Sutton. Even you bringing up your assistant that gave you your start. So definitely networking here around the game of basketball.
Definitely, it's a small world. The sports in general is a small world, and I think in the basketball circle, it's probably 6 degrees of separation from everybody. You're gonna know somebody who's gonna know somebody, and you're not even gonna know that we all knew each other. We were all connected in some piece, in some way. But it's been huge. Our guys that we've played with, and some that's played before us and after us. We're in group text. Then we still text each other, and we keep in touch with one another. So that just goes to show you how strong in the bond and how much we bleed the blue at ODU, and what we went through. We all went through similar things, whether it was with the same coach or a different coach. But we know what it's like to be a student athlete at Old Dominion, and what comes with that. The expectations that we put on ourselves, and also the expectations that are put on from the outside in regards to wanting to win championships, and be one of, if not the best team in the Commonwealth for sure, but especially better than that team, that's in Richmond.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And I know that the game has changed. I mean, not only have we talked about recruiting, but, now with, VCU and Richmond and George Mason and even East Carolina not far, but just those four neighboring schools. I mean, not even in the same conference as Old Dominion and like playing VCU and Richmond. I mean, it's even hard to get them on a non-conference schedule these days.
Yeah, it's sad that ODU and VCU don't play every year. It's also sad, like you said, that we all aren't in the same conference, simply because that brought so much attention to the league, and it brought so much rivalry to the league, and the fan bases were so passionate and so consumed with those games when we played against one another, and it helped. Honestly, I felt like it helped us prepare us when we got to the conference tournaments, and if we saw each other again, because during the course of the year, no matter when the games were played, they felt like they were tournament games because neither team wanted to lose to the other. And you made sure, those 2 days of prep prior to that game, you were probably a little bit more locked in. You were probably a little bit more intent on the scout report, and practices were a little bit sharper than not to say that other games weren't, but those kind of meant a little bit something more. And it's a shame that we don't have that on a year in and year out basis.
Right. And appreciate your time. And just a couple more things. I mean, you, Mike Jones, and Drew Williamson. I mean, just Monarch alums here at different levels, different schools. Definitely in the coaching profession.
Yeah, I'm so proud of Mike. I'm so proud of Drew and Cardo and all the guys that's in the coaching profession. I felt so badly for Drew and them how they lost that game in the Final Four. I probably gave him like a 5 to 10 minute window, and I texted him after, just so him how proud we were of him and a great job that he did. The same thing with Mike, even though they didn't have the season that they wanted to this past year at Virginia Tech, but the year before when they won the ACC championship, that was huge. I know that was a hell of a run that they probably had on there, and he enjoyed that. I was fortunate enough at the Final Four. Mike and I had lunch, so it was good to catch up and talk to him, and just pick his head and just reminisce about some things. But I know he's gonna do great things at Maryland as well. And Ricardo and I, we play in the same conference, so
Oh,
his team got the best of us this past year. We hopefully to return the favor this upcoming year, so it ought to be a good battle.
yeah. And where's Ricardo at?
He's at Virginia State University.
All right. Well, yeah. Maybe when you guys are if you guys come up here, maybe I'll have to go 460 West. And
We do. January 13th. We'll be there.
okay. All right. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Brion, appreciate your time. Sorry for going a little bit over, but any final comments here with your experience of not only wearing the blue for the Monarchs, but having high school coaching experience, then college coaching experience. Any final comments for any basketball players that want to play at that next level and listening out there?
Well, the first thing I would say is be realistic with yourself. Be realistic with yourself, but and also I would say this: um, coaches nowadays want guys who are hard workers but low maintenance. Like there's enough things that are going on throughout the world today that you don't need to be a headache. So just make sure that you're gonna work hard. You're gonna put that work in. You're gonna make sure you're doing what you're doing on and off the court, because how you get playing time and how you continue to grow is through trust. And for us as coaches, if we can't trust you in the classroom, we can't trust your decision making off the court, then it's not for me to see if I can trust you if you're gonna be able to make plays for me on the court, because you've already shown otherwise. So just make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do in the classroom, books first, because you're a student athlete first, and then you working towards your goal, whatever that is. And the grass isn't always greener. So if there's teams that are out there that are showing you love early, and you have a similar interest, I would say take that scholarship if they're offering it to you. Don't wait to think something's going to happen later, because you could miss out.
Right. Well, hey, Brion, appreciate. I know that we've gone back and forth here the last few months, but glad that we could finally connect and have you come on and share your story.
Definitely, I appreciate you having me, Mark.
Sure, no problem. And all right, fans. Well, hey, it's a wrap here. As today we talked to head coach at Claflin University here, Brion Dunlap, and definitely Monarch alum. So thanks again, Brion.
Thank you.
All right.